this is specifically the webinar on DraftSite. So I guess DraftSite as an application will be something where we are experiencing the design freedom. Basically, it's an application from Dassault Systems, which is mainly for keeping in target the 2D or basically the design environment which legacy CAD users, as such we being the engineers, have been specifically utilizing them till date. 2D as a part, as an evaluation, has come up specifically from the point when since the 80s and 90s in India, and that has been evolving up in the Indian market since then. Dassault Systems has specifically launched DraftSite, keeping in target the basic necessities which every design environment or every design ecosystem as an engineer, be it an architecture, be it a designer, that is what we have been understanding of. And based upon it, in this webinar, we will be specifically targeting to understand that what will be the basic necessities which will be required with respect to the challenges which we have been facing now. And based upon it, it is mainly keeping in target the focus upon the compliances which we normally face as working with industry standards with respect to converting our concept ideas into reality, being our application specifically, understanding the whole application is something which will be a main target set of this webinar, wherein how as such we could just switch upon newer applications, which is the basically being used in the market today. And if you haven't been ever heard about Graph, this is somewhere as a place where you could just experience the particular thing and you could just understand the ease of use it offers, and at the same time it could just help you to work upon customizing, designing, detailing, annotating, and whatsoever things which are required in our everyday design processes. So basically, this is the complete agenda. And like I would like to let you know, guys, know that if you at all you face any kind of find any kind of questions or doubts or anything, you could just add it in the questions window, specifically in the question doc. So you will just access it from there, and then at the end of the session, at the last, basically, we will be taking up the questions one by one, and then accordingly we will be just getting back to you. So mainly this is the complete agenda where we will be first of all understanding what specifically DraftSite is as an application, what is a design experience for DraftSite, why is it different, or what is the specific necessity which could be used or utilized for every one of us as engineers or being anyone from the design background as architects. Specifically, this as an application could serve up all the needs which we need to be uplifted with specifically in our application use. So this is something which, as an application, is into variants specifically. Like you must have heard about different applications are having different variants of working based upon the way or the level to which it provides the features to us. So basically, DraftSite comes into two different variants as such. DraftSite is a 2D CAD application, but alongside it, we have certain additional interesting features. Like if someone is into working into 3D modeling too, that is also something which is available in the DraftSite Enterprise Plus. So we'll be just getting on to one by one as we get ahead with the agenda. And at the end, we'll be just getting to the concluding part once we just understand the complete feature set which is available or as an offering from the DraftSite as an application. So basically, if we talk about any of the ways in which we need to face upon the most important language or the mode of communication which is there between us, the most common CAD format which we have been utilizing till date, that has been DWG, right? So DWG is something which almost everyone is relevant from this field in which we are working on. As a user who has started to work from like at the beginner stage or be someone who must be at the expertise stage, everyone has been utilizing the DWG almost every day. And specifically, this is the most important CAD format as such we could just relate towards and most commonly utilized. And that is something which has given us the freedom to do more. So, like I was saying in the start of the session, so basically, evolution of this particular format or evaluation of this particular area, the DWG or basically the 2D CAD market or the CAD market as such, started out in India like it was way back, but then specifically there were certain changes or applications got upgraded based upon the requirements which users have put upon, and based upon this consideration, this is where we are standing today with DraftSide as an application which could help you to be much more relevant or much more powerful as a user with the feature rich capabilities which this particular product is putting towards you. And if I talk about any of the fields, like as I'm saying, like architects, engineers, designers, or even like any of the manufacturers who must be having daily requirements for any kind of applications for their machining part or something like for cutting operations on laser cuts or specifically plasma cut machines and all. That is also somewhere the requirement comes up, and that's what is the requirement which is offered out of the draft side. And basically, it is having a very important thing which resonates almost with all the users who have been utilizing this CAD from a lot of years. That is specifically the API functionality. So API, if you don't know specifically, that is basically the application programming interface. Now this is something which helps us to accomplish more because this automates the process in it. And the way it has been like revolutionizing the CAD market or in the engineering market, specifically in the design domain, this is what something is offered with DraftSight also for having the powerful API capabilities that would help you to achieve more freedom into the designing skills. So basically, as I said, like it's just not about 2D, it is even about the 3D thing. So DraftSight as an application comes up with two specific important characteristic of designing. So the areas wherein the complete conceptualization of the product in the 3D could be also done. And if I talk about DraftSight, all the legacy CAD softwares which have been built till date, it is similar to them also. So basically, if you are someone who has been working on any other legacy CAD application, you must be having a doubt or a thought in your mind that specifically, if I'm switching to this particular application, what will be the area or like the commands which I'll be utilizing? Will they change? They won't change at all. Every line command will start with L. Every copy command, we are relevant with the CO. If every trim command, we are relevant with the TR double enter. So that is going to be stay the same over here, even if you switch towards the draft side as an application. And that's what we are able to understand over here that 2D and 3D, both the functionalities are available over here. And if I talk about the variant wise, like specifically what DraftSight is offering up. So this is what DraftSight Enterprise, the variant which is having almost the features which are much more different. You must be finding out over here that specifically certain functionalities you must have never read before, you must have never heard before. These are certain kind of functionalities which are offered with DraftSight as an application. So basically, I just bifurcated the different areas into which draft site helps you to improve your designing, helps you to achieve the freedom to do more. So basically, if I talk about productivity, that is somewhere you have been drafting up your complete uh, entities, creating up the geometries, creating up the sketches, and that's the particular area where this all functionalities will be utilized. The next particular area is the particular drafting features. Means once the drawings are ready or the sketches are ready, what I can say in detail. So that's the stage when you start with the drafting part, assign the dimensions, create the annotations, apply the layers, and that is where this particular functionalities when to draft side help you to do in a better way. And the last one is something which is quite exclusive and quite interesting to see, which will be getting a part to experience in the webinar itself, where we'll be seeing one by one all of these features and specifically the power tool, which I will say is something which is an interesting part because this is quite important with respect to the industry which we are working on. Standardized way of working is what almost every Indian engineer is having a thought when we think about the way we have been designing for producing products. So specifically at this particular level, power tools is something which will help you to achieve that thing up, get that particular goal set to be achieved in a real way. So to just understand the way draft site works, I will just take you to the particular area where draft site is. Now this is the particular interface which I could say is almost similar to the way we have been seeing or experiencing in any of the legacy 2D CAD softwares. So almost the same things, right? The command ribbon at the top, the command window specifically at the bottom, specifically of the properties or any of the panes which we require, the task panes are specifically located over here. So I can just access of any of the files or any of the properties of any of the entities, they could be simply accessed in the similar way as we have been seeing in any of the other legacy 2D CAD software. So considering the fact that the way this application has been built, it has been built first of all to match up with all the users which with respect to the application they have been using till date. All the commands which have been provided in specifically DraftSight as an application is almost same to any of the 2D CAD market applications which are available. So you need not keep a doubt when you're starting with the journey that if you are going to someday getting into the dark side environment, there won't be any kind of hassle into understanding new commands, learning new things. The learning curve will be much more simpler over here. So specifically considering that fact, draft side is something which is having almost the same interface. The GUI as such overall is something which is same as such if we talk about with respect to the way it has been working on. So basically, these are certain kind of functionalities which DraftSide as an application is offering up in the same manner. You could just even customize the interface if required, and as such, you could just perform upon the way how you could just check the way how the particular things could be built upon. Specifically, if we talk about draft side enterprise as a functionality or any of the application which is getting provided over, this is what specifically is getting offered to us. And if we just get an environment experience like over here, specifically even like I said, like this is particularly the 3D level of working, where you could just have even 3D parts developed up, and at the same time, if you want any of the 2D points to be covered up or the 2D way of design that is almost common to us, that is the same way or the same functionality which is getting offered to us over here. So getting ahead in the whole thing, specifically understanding one by one the various features which are available with draft site over here is specifically the image tracer app. So basically, you must have imagined like if you have certain kind of images and if I want to just trace out the data out of it, get to know that particularly what this particular entity could be created into, like converting the particular image entities into 2D based geometry entities. So that is specifically a very simple task when we have draft site with us. Specifically with the image tracer as an application, we could just simply utilize any of the images and the selecting up at the left, at the particularly right side in the task pane area, you could just see that there are different command options getting shown up to us. So basically, you could just have different kind of profiles set up over here. You could have the geometry options set up over here. Specifically, if you want the lines to be created or the polylines or any of the splines to be created, you could just adjust it up over here. And accordingly, you could just understand that this particular content data, this is specifically getting converted into a vector-based content. So that is a vector data conversion. So based upon the OCR text where the content is getting recognized, this functions over here. So basically, this is a baseline or the base point which is existing in DraftSide as an application, which would help us to achieve the particular entity. So specifically, if I'm just going to delete this thing up, you just see that you will just experience the way this particular entity got captured up. So in the same manner, if I were to have this kind of stock images, which may be like downloaded from the web, or you must be having like this was as a logo example. So at this point, I'm just selecting this particular image area. I'm just proceeding ahead with respect to converting it with respect to the image tracer application which exists over here. I'll be just giving an enter over here. And now the next thing will be I'll just get the content created up over here itself. So basically all the curves, all the line data has been created up. So this may be quite useful to use specifically as a user, wherein manual tracing used to be something wherein we used to get image as an object into our 2D environment, 2D box space, and then we used to start to like trace up the lines across it. Like it used to be very hourly based task wherein we would have to like have the lines created in a very very fine manner. The process used to be quite lengthy, but this thing would help you to at least get you equipped with a concept sketch created in the most easiest way possible with respect to utilizing the image tracer application. So now this is again another example wherein I'm just having a particular image data created up. So I'll just select any of the content which I want. Like for here specifically, I want this particular two ones. So I'll just select up the particular thing. The options could be just manipulated up over here. If I just go ahead to do it upon OK. So this is what will be the result out of it, wherein the particular data has been converted with respect to the polyline creation out of it. So basically, you will just understand the gradient difference between the image and the image color is specifically helping you to get the content created out of it. So basically, the image quality, of course, is going to be somewhere you will need a good quality image. But then considering the fact that it will at least give you with a concept sketch created out of it automatically. So manual work will be reduced to like I would say by 60 to 80%. That will be the reduction in the overall process task which requires to create up such kind of sketches by tracing them. So basically, that is what something image tracer as an application is something which helps you to boost your productivity. The next particular thing as a feature which I would like to like let you know, like that is quite interesting to understand, that trimming is a it's a very task which everyone on an everyday basis, at least like you will be utilizing the TR double enter option, right? So basically, this will just help us to get the particular areas wherein I will just have to trim up. So basically, this would help me to remove of the entities, right? So basically, I just select upon any of the areas. This would help me to delete all those entities completely. But what about this particular entity? It won't be, right? And you will say that why would you trim it off? Because there is no such thing existing as a boundary to it. But with utilization of the power trim, specifically, now I'm just utilizing the power trim functionality. This is what something which we could just understand over here, wherein I could just move my mouse in an easy manner, something which is relevant to the ones who want to work with trimming on a daily basis while editing the drawings or creating up any kind of revisions in existing drawings. So basically, while sketching up, this could be something as an untiring task because you need not even enter the command over it. The next task would be to simply move your mouse across it once the command has been executed. So this doesn't just work for the line entities. So basically helps you to get into any of the complex entities also to be created. Now in this particular thing, there is a gradient difference of color over here. I'm just moving my mouse across it. The power trim will help you to trim it out. Same way is particularly with the hatchings. Now, hatching is something which is a complex thing to remove off because selection of the individual entities is what is the requirement. But with this particular power trim, you will just do it in the easiest way possible. So this is what trimming. It's the very simple task, but the level of simplicity or the level of detail to which we have been putting into it, that is specifically is getting offered with DraftSide as an application, which will help you to like guys to do the thing in a much more simpler manner. So while I was doing this, you must have noticed that this particular thing over, right? So this is quite interesting to understand because this is the mouse gesture which we have over here. A wagon wheel, a command wagon wheel just pops up over here whenever I press my left mouse button and just move it anywhere. So specifically any of the command I require to be executed over here, I want the file to be opened up, that command has been set up over here. So I can just get into this particular command directly. So basically, this is where you could just utilize the way mouse gestures could be set up for any of the commands. Now this is the particular generalized command setting window wherein I could just have to assign any of the commands which are normally utilized. You could have minimum 4 commands and you could have up to maximum 8 commands as gestures based upon the mouse movement specifically and would help you to reduce the way we have been utilizing the keyboard or by utilizing the mouse wherein we have to go and search the command and sometimes in the day-to-day heavy workload levels specifically we just tend to forget like where the command is. So basically all those commands could be just placed up in a very neat manner across this wagon wheel. So this command wagon wheel, which specifically we call it as the mouse gesture, is also an offering which helps you to like get your work or task done in a more productive manner as well. Now the next interesting thing to understand over here is with respect to the revisions, right? So whenever we have been working into any of the design environments, we often face certain kind of scenarios wherein there are two drawings which have been created as revisions. Like this is the updated revision of the same layout which was created in Draftside. But the very important thing to understand is that there are quite differences into it. You must have remembered that childhood task when we used to go and manually check it out, like what are the differences between the two photos or images. So specifically over here in Draftside, as an engineer, as a designer, you need not do that specific thing where you need to go manually and do those micro level magnification and then check out like what is the major difference between it because you have to work on your drawing now. So specifically utilizing this particular functionality wherein the draw compare comes up, wherein I can just browse to the respective drawing. Now this is the particular drawing which will be getting opened up in the background. Now specifically it will be just capturing up all the data like the block data, the drawing content data, everything, all the layers, colors and all, and this the drawing is now basically opened up over there. Now if I just go to another drawing, specifically the one which I require, now this is going to be another one. Now once that has been done over here, this is going to be another drawing which will be getting opened up over here. Now the next important task will be to compare the drawings, which is going to be an important task to understand over here because specifically in the difference window, I'm able to see specifically that what is the major difference which has got added up over here? This is the additions which have happened from drawing 1 to drawing 2. And if I talk about removals, for instance, now this is the particular bed which has got removed, and here a particular sitting arrangement has been added. So mainly, if you understand the way this particular command helps you to simplify your task of reviewing, or I could say revision creation, or like revision management specifically. If I talk in a standardized way of working, that is what could be employed with this particular draw compared tool over here, because that will just help you to get the things done in a more faster way, and what obvious it is going to improve your productivity. So specifically, this is what something are the functionalities which are offered with respect to drawing comparison, which when we look at it specifically. So you must have noticed that specifically whenever we are working in a standardized way of manner, or you must have experienced it at your end, then you might be normally saving your blocks, your layers, and whatever content is required in your drawing in a certain database. Like it must be in a particular folder in a server and something like that. And if you are a single user, you must be having a tendency to save the normally utilized blocks everyday basis on an everyday basis. Or you must be like, sometimes if you are someone as a user like me who normally tends to not save that kind of a standardized data, but tends to work in the way the drawings are getting created and then go back to the drawings. You can imagine the way if a user like me who will be quite lazy to save that data, what will happen? Your complete designing process will get extended. You may be not able to get to your deadlines because you have to every day in your everyday work you will have to like get to the designs, get the data searched out, and that specific relevant data needs to be put into your current drawing. So basically, whatever I'm explaining up over here, this may be understood by simply the design resources over here. You need not save any kind of standardized data. Even a user like me, if I want to add up certain kind of content over here from another drawing, I need not go and open the drawing by searching it into any of the server or any of the other file databases in our system, in our local system. So specifically, every drawing file is having its set of data, its set of content. This content may be the layers, it may be the table styles, the text styles, the layer content, it may be the blocks which are created into it. So simply I'm just going to the blocks, whatever the blocks are there, I'm just going to simply drag into here, and then I can just place it up anywhere. Now, if I want to scale it up, I could just simply scale that block content over here itself right away. So basically, it will just help me to have the content created up from other drawings, and basically, I could just bring those content from other drawings and put it up over here into the particular drawing environment where you are working, in the drawing space where you are working. So it's not just about the blocks, it is even with respect to dimension style. If I want certain dimension style which was created in a so-so previous year or something like that, and that was in a particular drawing for a certain customer. But now that same customer has given you an order, so basically you need to maintain the standard content style, right? The dimension style or the text style. I will just simply bring that thing up and just drag and put it up over here, and that particular content would be now applied in this particular drawing also. Need not go over there, search out for the data like what was the font, what was the font style which was set up that for that particular dimension or for that text. Specifically, all that content is set up over here itself. So no more hassles in specifically creating up your content as a standardized way of working. All the things are streamlined over here. All the things are set up over here with respect to the data content out of those points over here. So this is a going to serve you as a library asset with respect to utilizing it from your design drawings before. So basically, whatever content you have created, that will be reused over here again by utilizing the design resources. So this were the certain features which could be utilized up to have your productivity enhanced. And the next stage is where somewhere we work upon creating of dimensions. We are somewhere like the sketches have been done, the geometries have been created by utilizing this productivity features. But now my task is to apply the dimensions and then like proceed ahead to the finalization of the drawings and all. So if I have to work with that particular thing, a major thing is that first of all we need to work with setting up a layer, but the layer need not be managed up on an everyday basis. We are having a layer set manager in almost every drawing sheet setup, who may be experienced users, you must be much more relevant with layers because working in layers is what we have been always loved in the 2D working space. So specifically, if I just head up to the particular options window over here, wherein I could just introduce you to the specific layer, predefined layers manager, wherein all the data content which is required, like specifically for dimensions or for any of the tables which will be required, they will be just set up as predefined layers here itself. So basically, this would just help you to achieve all the standard content created. And then you could just even export this particular layer set to another drawing or as a particular standard file which may be imported in some other drawing or on some other user system. So basically, a standardized way of layer setup may be done up over here. So, for instance, in this particular drawing which I was just showcasing you over here, if I were to add up a particular predefined layer set over here, like the dimensions over here, so specifically for the dimensions, I'm setting up a layer with a line color of cyan and just applying it up over here, going to OK. And now I want to apply the dimensions over here. I won't be utilizing my normal way of doing it. I will be just doing it in a quite different way. When I'm just selecting the entity, right clicking in my area, and then going to the dimension bounding box, clicking on the create option. You must be seeing that there is a dotted line which has been like boundary has been created up over here, a bounding box has been created up over here. Now my next task will be to utilize this powerful command which is auto dimension. Once auto dimension has been selected, on the right side you could just see in the task pane that specifically the line 1 and line 2 has been selected, the vertical and the horizontal baseline, basically the reference line. And the schema specifically for noting the drawings over here, or the dimensions over here, may be a continuous type of dimension, or it may be an ordinate type of dimension. So basically, whatever is required. For now, I'll just go ahead with the baseline type of dimension. The next stage will be to assign an origin over here. So I'll just simply utilize this particular origin over here. So even if I don't have a particular reference to be assigned up in certain complicated cases or intricate cases, an origin would be something which I would offer up over here. All the selections of the geometry can be seen up over here. I'm just hitting up on the preview window. And you are over here with all the dimensions created with respect to the particular origin which I had set up. No need to manually create all the dimensions by yourself. DraftSight will do it automatically, and this is where the power of specifically the productivity enhanced feature, which specifically helps you to get your dimensions created in a continuous scheme, or in this case, like we are done, the baseline scheme could be done up automatically over here itself. I'm applying these dimensions now, and specifically those dimensions have been created up over here itself. So basically, whatever things you are setting up while drafting, those all things will be set up right away here itself, and that's how the way of working could be enhanced over here, and that's how the overall way of working could be just managed up over here right away in DraftSide environment itself. So specifically, as we are seeing till now in time, specifically in this webinar, that we have proceeded ahead from the point where we have created up the dimensions. We have earlier like assigned certain kind of predefined layers also, and at the same moment we have even worked with certain features, which may be the powertrain, the image tracer, which may have helped us to like create the complete drafted entities and all. The next stage is somewhere where we go on to create a detailing. These detailings may be with respect to adding up the whole details, the fastener details, and that's what is something which is the power tool, which is as an offering in the draft side as a feature, basically because in power tools, we have set of tools like the industry standards, the libraries, the bomb creation options, the table creation options. I may like to say an Excel kind of table creation in draft side itself. So you need not switch on to the Excel window. As a designer, normally who is working with a sourcing or a procurement or any of the partners like the vendors and all, you need to normally give the details in Excel format to them because they aren't someone who are relevant with our engineering based food invoice and all. So those tables need to be exported to them. So basically switching between two applications, sometimes the mistakes happen that certain content gets missed out. So this is where specifically Power Tools helps you to serve up. So I'll be just getting with the starting thing, which is the standards over here. So if I just click upon standards, you could just see there are basic standards set up. Now what the standards are? The standards are basically all the global standards with respect to fasteners, with respect to all the standard holes, standard whole databases, standard fastener databases. And if I'm talking about database, DraftSide is having in itself 1 million component database created, pre-configured in DraftSide environment itself. Like the ones which I have been showing you till now, like I'm just applying the ISO now. So that has been activated up over here. So basically, this particular whole details, if any of the hardware components have to be added up, I can just simply add it up from over here itself. So I'm just going on to the insert option over here. So once I just go to the insert option, it will just ask me as a pop-up to have a selection of the standard. Now the standard has been preset to ISO based standard. You can just see that the bolts, nuts, pins, washers, all the library has been pre-configured over here itself. I can just select with any of the standard holes. And apart from it, if this view is this particular preview block which is getting shown up over here, if I want it in a different way, like in a side view kind of a thing, wherein I could just show the exact details out of it. If I want to apply certain kind of thickness, like in this case, I want to have the respective fastener to be set up over here. I'll just apply the thickness. The thickness data has been captured up over here. So once I just go on to hit upon enter or OK. This is how I could just create a fastener automatically here itself. No more detailing or no more block creation by yourself. Normally, we have the tendency that we have normally utilized fasteners created as blocks. No need to do it. You can even variate the sizes as required. You could just add up your sizes also as required, and that's where like the whole process becomes interesting to understand because all the standards are predefined, all the standards are pre-created, all the fasteners are saved over here as a library, which you could just reuse as and when required. And this is how the whole process just works in a very interesting way. And that is how specifically it's not just to the hardware content, but even with the screw connections, like in this particular case, if I had to like have this data completely, like this is a data in my language of working, wherein there is a fastener, there is a washer, there is a nut, and all the details, the end nuts is also there. So basically, if I want a screw connection to be developed, like this one over here, this particular screw connection data has been saved over here as a block. So specifically, I could just have the different kind of bolts or different kind of fastener details pre-selected up over here. Accordingly, you could just go on to select the one which is relevant to you. So I could just go on to select the respective size which is required. Again, I could just offer thickness which is required over here. And now this thickness is going to be quite interesting to give over here because as soon as I just click upon the different options, you will just see that the animation is like the particular image in the preview window is getting changed because that is giving you a detail like what will be the block which will be created out automatically. So whatever details I'm going on adding, this details will be getting shown up over here. But now you can see that there is a thing which has popped up as an error. The screw connection is smaller than the material thickness. Why this thing happened? Because I selected a nut 2, but my thickness was around 32. So the total length was exceeding this 32 over here, and that's why specifically once I just untake it, now the error will go off because the particular screw connection detail has been set up in a very smooth manner as it was required up over here, and accordingly the particular details could be added up in this particular way. So this is the power tool which we have for the screw connection setup which is normally required. Now, if I talk about fasteners, holes, but this fasteners and fasteners or any of the nuts, washers which are set up over here, but this fasteners have to go into certain kind of holes, right? You need certain kind of a connection or like a basically a area or a particular volume to be removed of, to be shown up over here, and that will be by the representation of holes over here. So if I'm just going to add up certain kind of holes over here, specifically all the hole details, like whatever the holes you require over here, this all holes will be just selected up. So be it a countersink hole with respect to the near side, far side details also, all the creation details, so that basically your manufacturer or your machinist or anyone who is like going to walk into this whole creation at the factory level or at the shop floor level, he would be easily getting an idea because these are the standard ways. So basically, who is on a daily basis utilizing these details for creating the parts, it becomes an easier task for designer to get those details communicated in a standardized way of manner only. And also, at the another aspect is that normally DraftSide as an application would help us to achieve that standardization in our industries, help us to get that data created raw, but they will that data will be in a smooth manner, and that data could be created in our drawing sheets. as and when required. So specifically, whatever the details I want, like in case I want a tab role details to be provided, the drill details, the thread depth details, all the details will be added up. So if I want any kind of near side detail provided up over here, this all details can be configured up over here itself. And basically, once I just hit upon the OK option now, specifically, you could just go to any of the locations, add the whole details. Specifically, this is how simple way this particular holes will be added up, and this particular whole detail blocks will be added up. So this is what the holes as a whole completely just provides you with respect to the whole functionality which we have as an offering over here again with specifically this application draft site. And now if I just want to take you to another interesting thing over here, now this is particularly a chuck plate or whatever kind of a round plate which you could say over here, wherein there are different holes created over here. There are different detailings given over here before itself. So if I want to have the detail of the table created, this is where the particular whole table to be could be created. So basically, I got a whole table creation option. I'm just going on to select the origin over here. You can see in the command window bottom at the bottom, like specifically the origin got defined over here from the center. Now I want to select the particular holes which are to be included in that particular table. I'll just hit upon enter, and then I'll just give a particular insertion point for the table. So it will just load all the data, and then now you have the whole table created up. All the holes which were created with the standardized way of working, wherein the whole details were provided away. That all description, the sizes, the X file location, the X file location with respect to the origin which I defined has been given, and the labels like this is the particular A2 hole. This A2 hole will be having a certain particular location, the kind of hole, the size, and the description which goes along with it, that can be created automatically over here. Manually going and searching and creating those tables is no more a process to be done when you are utilizing DraftSide at your place. So this is what we could say as a thing which could help us to achieve more or like get into more details in the most easiest way possible. And if I'm talking about whole tables, something need not be missed out over here. That is going to be the BOM table, the BOQ table, or basically the complete material table which needs to be created up over here. So now I have certain kind of balloons defined up over here, right? So there are certain kind of details which need to go along with the balloons, like what is this component, what is this component, that will be shown up in an engineering way of uh, showcasing it while utilizing the bomb table. So specifically over here, if I go on to create a balloon, whenever I'm going to create a balloon in my draft side interface, it will just throw me up with this particular text window, data window, wherein the balloon data is getting saved up. Now, for example, now this is the assembly which is the left housing, which I'm adding up. The item number, now this has got auto populated up over here. So basically, how many items are there, that will be getting created up automatically, that particular notation that will be getting defined up over here with respect to the different balloons which are creating up over here. Now, if I want any of the other details, like say the part number for this thing, which will go in hand with it. So basically, this is going to be my part number, which will be required, and then the description, which may be required. So all the details are just getting created up in this particular centralized place itself. So the description would be for say like this is going to be a machined part or something like that as a comment which would go alongside it. So once that thing has been done, now this is what has been stored in this smart balloon over here. But then how we get a table created out of it? This particular balloons which are created in this respective drawing could be created with this could be brought up in a table tabulated format by utilizing this particular form table creation option, which is having a standardized template setup, and then whatever details we have added up, that particular details get thrown up over here automatically in the easiest way possible again. So basically, getting all those tables created, and even an important thing to understand over here, this may be exported into your CSV based file format, which may be opened later in your Excel or specifically any of the spreadsheet based applications wherein the CSV format is supported. So this is not just relevant with draft side, but even you can just bring all this tabulated data which are created out of draft side also. So this is where the complete engineering process gets done up over here. But and another important thing is missing out over here because the drawings have been created, the bomb table has been created, the whole table has been created, whatever details have been done up. But what about the overall title frame which will be required to be created? So this is where I'll be having the insert frame option, again certain thing which is a part of the toolbox. The standard frames based upon the standards which are available on a global level basis, be that a Japanese standard if you are serving any of the vendor who is working on a Japanese based working basis of working. Like the title block is something which is quite relevant to be understood because all the details, who has designed it, it was designed on which date, all the details need to be added up into it. But then over here in draft side, I'm just simply having this frame and title block creation option wherein I can just specify a respective area. Accordingly, the scale will be set up. The respective drawing sheet which I require over here, that particular drawing sheet will be manipulated up over here. The scaling comes up over here, and then accordingly you are able to get this respective format created up automatically. You will just see in the background that this format has been created. But at the same time, I would like to show you one thing important which has popped up now. This is the block attributes which are attached with this title block. And this title block, I know that you must be saying that this is the ISO A3 based or A4 based standard format. But if you want it to be created at your side based upon your industry customized standard, we could do it over here. We could just customize all the attributes over here. So basically, like say this is going to be the drawing number 234 DFG. So this is the detail. Any of the description which is required, like say this is going to be a drawing sample which I want to just showcase it to you. A material which is going to be utilized, that is going to be steel. And whatsoever details like that, I will just put my initials over here. The drawn date, which will be today's date specifically. So all the details are managed over here itself. And based upon it, all the data will be getting populated up over here automatically. And this is basically a customized template which has been saved up in DraftSide environment. And this customized template could be even modified as per your needs, of course. So like if you want certain other kind of a layout, other all details to be shown up over here and the block attributes to be set up, that could be done in this particular frame block here itself, and the title bar could be title block could be even modified over here. So this is what specifically DraftSide as an application is having the power tool functionalities which are associated with the way of working which we have been doing till date, which were manual in, I guess so, in actual practice. But now over here we are having all these power tools pre-configured here itself. Next important thing to understand is specifically tables, which may be an Excel based table or something like that. We normally insert an Excel based table wherein where wherein specifically if we want any kind of formulas to be set up, like we have done over here. So if I want any kind of an equation to be set up, that thing could be even done up over here. So specifically I could just have the V6, like this is the particular column wherein it is going to be a multiple of this particular two cells. So I will just utilize this particular command, and then accordingly I could just have that thing set up over here itself. And this particular thing would help me to get the evaluated value created out of it. If I want any kind of some content to be created, that specific thing could be even done. So I could just select any of the tables or like create a such kind of tables in the DraftSide environment itself, wherein I need not go to Excel back again. Now this may be your even most of the users must be utilizing the extraction tables or data extraction tables for structural industries or even into machining industry to certain levels we are utilizing it. And this is how this would help us to get the some data or any kind of data which is tabulated, but it is smarter with respect to a spreadsheet based application. So you could just configure such kind of tables also, and even you can link this particular data with certain kind of data extraction tables also for auto generation of the data. So that is also something which DraftSide helps you to like get it created up over here, and that is the way smartly it is getting worked upon. Something which is interesting to understand now is with respect to this thing which I'm showing you on my screen now. This is a PDF file. Now, if I want this thing to be recreated back at my side, because this is something which has been sent to me over the mail. So basically, it is a PDF data content which has been created from other 2D application, but I want it to be now configured up over here. An easier way to do it would be something wherein I could just have a new drawing created up and I could just import the PDF over here. But you would just imagine that PDF import would just give me a PDF type page setup over. But it's not like that because by importing a PDF and draft site, you could even convert it into a block data if it is having the relevant entities set up into it. The geometries could be converted into draft site environment also. So basically, you can just apply the scaling. You just have to select the PDF file. The PDF file has been selected up from OE. Now you could even have a batch processing where all the different files will be set up over here. So this is what is a functionality which is getting offered up. So if I just click upon OK, now this particular block has been inserted up over here. So if I just utilize the explode block functionality, now this is where the magic happens because specifically all the data content from the PDF will be getting processed up and that will be getting exploded out of the block content which got converted over here from the PDF data content. So specifically, if you're going to work with PDF data content from someone you're getting or receiving it, so specifically that will be getting created up over here with respect to the way DraftSite is helping you with. So basically, this is where the whole process gets quite interesting to understand because as a whole, this is what PDF data generation or the PDF data generation out of PDFs could be done up. So these are certain functionalities which DraftSite Enterprise offers to us. And specifically, this have been the different functionalities which we have been seeing. Like specifically, we have been doing it in a manual way of working, but with DraftSite, we could just have those functionalities to be utilized in a much more faster, smarter, and easier way. So that was something with DraftSite Enterprise. And if I talk about DraftSite Enterprise Plus, now this is specifically where you are going to work into 3D, like I've shown the 3D thing, or you are going to work with mass property calculation, or going to create a certain kind of custom blocks. That is where specifically DraftSite Enterprise Plus comes into picture. So basically, like I was told you, like these are the different entities. Like if you want the line data created out of it, this particular PDF data could be even converted up over here. So basically, this is what is the power of DropSite as an application because it will help you to have the designs created up in a free manner. And like I was saying, if you are talking about Enterprise Plus, this is where the thing comes up wherein if I want a 3D models to be created out of it, like the one we are seeing over here, and even if I want to get certain kind of mass property details out of it, like for say example, this particular platform needs to be checked out, like this particular region needs to be checked out. I could just have the particular entity data created, the density, the particular area, volume, the XY, Z coordinates of it, the centroid data, the relevant geometry data which is required. The principal moments of inertia is the level of detail which we get over here. So basically, by creating up structures or anything like that, CG calculations could be done simply over here, specifically by utilizing the 3D content. And basically, we have got a 3D workspace where the specific modeling commands are available here itself in DraftSite window. And it's not just in this one because in Enterprise Plus we are having specific entities like now this basically being a simple concept which I was just working upon, wherein I want this particular relations to be offered up over here, like this particular spring notation to be tangential with this one, something which is near to parametric in sense because we have been working to it in a non-parametric environment. But if I want any kind of relations to be offered up, like in case like this particular line entity, which is going to be always vertical, if I want that particular thing to be added up to this particular line entity also, I can just simply select that particular line entity, go to the constraints window and apply the required constraints. All the geometry constraints are set up over here, and this is specifically available with the Enterprise Plus version of DraftSite. So basically, this is what is an interesting way of working when you're working with kinematics or something like that in a 2D environment or a 2D space. And even this relations will be utilized for maintaining those relations. So basically, the geometry relations could be utilized in a very interesting way if we are working into a constraint-based environment for the specific application which I was just talking about. And an interesting way to know something more is the dynamic block support because like we have certain kind of blocks which are set up, but every now and then we have to change the block configurations or the block displays. So like this is the elevated view of this particular assembly which is getting shown up. Now this is a chiller assembly, so I want a plan view out of it. So that could be even done up over here by simply selecting the different dynamic blocks which will be created and edited. This is an example of a dynamic block wherein in a single block I have saved a different set of block data content. So I will just select the different size configuration. So specifically, this is what is an offering again with Enterprise Plus or a variant of Dropside. And if I want, like in this case, like this is something as an example from the architectural side, wherein if I want a door layout to be selected or created up, I will simply select this particular entity, change the direction if I want. So this is what the block or this dynamic block is having the data created in here itself. So these are certain specific Enterprise Plus variant uh, functionalities which are offered in specifically draft side. And if I talk about one more important thing, a sheet set manager, which is normally utilized for when you are working with multiple sheets, like more than 20, 10 to 20 sheets, and you have to have different configurations set up in a multiple user environment. Even in a single user environment also, sometimes we face the challenge where multiple sheets are associated with different sheets. So sheet set manager serves the purpose over here in a very easier manner. So basically, the sheet set manager is something which is an exclusive feature which is offered with DraftSight Enterprise Plus. And DraftSight Enterprise Plus is again some of the DraftSight Enterprise features plus the exclusive features which are around 3D mass property calculation, constraint-based designing, or custom block creation, which is a functionality which is offered over here itself, and even the sheet set manager. So coming to the point that basically DraftSight, most of the users over here must be relevant with the way DraftSight has been performing in the industry now. It has come up over here, and this is the particular testimonial because DraftSight as an application has just boomed in the global market specifically, and it has been it is now like at the side where a lot of years have been put into it. Dassault Systems has worked upon it with respect to understanding the major customer needs and the major customer satisfaction which is required specifically for understanding the way designers perform their daily day task and then simplifying it via this application. And that is specifically the reason why this testimonials have come up. And this is the way benefits are going to come to you because easy way of creation, drawing creation process is the same way, but in a more interesting manner. Legacy data, like you must have been having any sort of content which may be from the R12 version, which was normally utilized in the 90s also. Even that data content can be exported and even imported in specifically draft style. And basically, this is having the another important thing to understand is that the perpetual licensing thing. Specifically, the perpetual and term license is something wherein like you are working with a part where you need to pay every year and to renew the license to keep the draft site to be working in. But that is something which comes with term license. That is also an availability. But as an offering, perpetual license also come up, which specifically is getting offered for the users who are going to opt into. So basically, you purchase a license one that becomes an asset at your side, and you can just utilize the license for a lifetime basis. So basically, these are the benefits which will be useful for you. And basically, that is something which most of the users are loving out of it, wherein in a single pack, you are getting all these functionalities created up, something which almost all the industries are looking forward to. And you must be having no doubts over the technical capabilities without compromising basically. And specifically, the whole functionality as a whole, which comes up in a Power Pack draft side as an application, is what we have showcased you today. Hope you love that thing specifically. And these are certain good customer references in India specifically, if you are having large companies, large startups which have been established in India now. Ever since the past, specifically the past few years, this have been the major customers which have been utilizing. Like these are just a few ones, but we have more hundreds of these customers in our bucket specifically who have been utilizing Grafsite and enjoying the experience till date. So this is what something which we would like to show you now, and that is something which will now come to the ending part, basically where you could just ask me with the questions or any of the doubts if you have in this particular thing. So we may be live for a couple of minutes later now. So you could just put the questions in the questions tab and you could just put up the questions. So you could just go ahead for a question answer session. And even we have certain kind of context if you don't have the questions now, but if you have to get into certain details again, you could just contact me or Mr. Vivek Panikar over here. So specifically, you could just get in touch with us to get to know more about it or any of the doubts to be answered over there on the call or on a one-to-one basis. So if we have anything, you can just ask it or we'll just conclude and end the session. It has been a pleasure to get your attendance over here to get to know the webinar about GraphSight as a whole. So specifically, you could just put up your questions or you may just conclude because we'll be just ending the session in the next 2 minutes. Thanks a lot to everyone.